Okay, so in this video we're going to understand what is basically delta format is. Okay, so basically if you talk about the delta, which is the most common interview question, so in the delta format it's just another format similar to Parquet, ORC and CSVs, but delta format is made on top of the Parquet format, and it also provide the ACID transaction properties. Okay, ACID in the sense similar to MySQL. Okay, where we can have this atomic consistency, isolation and durability thing while running in the transactions, because if some thread is making some changes in a file, maybe Parquet file or the CSV file, some other thread can also make that change. Okay, so which one to keep, that's the issue or the problem with the compiler or the system. Okay, so delta format solve that problem, ACID transaction problem. Second thing is the schema enforcement, so you can dynamically change the schemas. Okay, that we're going to see later. Time travel and the data versioning. So these are the two things which we're going to see in the video through the code. And in this time travel and the data versioning is nothing but that if you are keep on updating your data. Okay, so what the delta do is it will automatically store the version of that delta table, okay, or the logs. So whatever you run your delta on, okay, or if you are keeping some data into some location, let's say some output location, and if you are optimizing that location, okay, through a delta table, it will create the delta logs. So these things we're going to see in the coming videos. And so we usually use the Parquet when we are when we have the requirement of the batch processing and when the read performance is a priority. Okay, so we want to have the data quickly because Parquet is the columnar database, store the data in the columnar way. Okay, so all the columns will store in one place. Okay, all the data of that column is stored in one place, the other column data will going to store in the other place. So basically it is used for the aggregations, okay, for fast aggregations. And delta format is similar, okay, but keeping the ACID transaction and the schema transformation and time travel and data versioning are the additional things which delta provide. Okay, so let's quickly take an example of this one. Let's say we have this data ID, name and salary. Okay, and I have created a data frame and I'm storing it to the delta format. Okay, this format is delta, similar to Parquet and CSVs, and I'm storing it into the output location, this location, output location. So what will going to happen is, and I'm just again reading that table again and just displaying that data. Okay, so this is how the data will look like. And if you see in the output, you will going to see one folder which is delta log, and it will going to contain these two files, JSON file and the CRC file. Okay, so if I want to see the data of this JSON file, which I am rendering it here, so it will going to have this commit info, timestamp, user ID, username, operation, okay, notebook ID, and then isolation level, which is write serializable. So this is very important, write serializable. This is the safest what you say propagation or this isolation. Okay, so this is the most highest safest isolation, okay, which database provide. So we will going to see that in the coming videos. Okay, what is this write serializable is, and this number of file is 3, number of records are 3. These are things. Okay, now we have this this is not needed, I'm just displaying the same data in another way. Yeah, so I'm creating a table with no delta. Okay, so if you open this Hive meta store, and then there will be a default one. Let me connect to the cluster first. It's taking long time. Okay, so meanwhile when it connects to the data, let me go over to the other details. Okay, this is the cluster. Yeah, let's wait for one minute. Okay, so now it's saying connecting. Yeah, let me attach the source to it, and it says connecting. So if I open this one, let me run that first, I think. Okay, so while it is running, it is creating that table. And if I want to see the data of that table, let it run. Okay, so meanwhile we can see the data by selecting. So it's open now. So there is no data because this SQL is still running. Let it run. I think it is running. Okay, so let me refresh this one. Let me open in the catalog explorer. Okay, as you can see, we have this stream data no delta table, and if I run this in the schema catalog explorer, let me open that catalog explorer. Okay, I will going to explain this how you will going to read the this delta table. Okay, so there is another way to read it using the delta table.for path, or you can read it using the this way. Yeah, read.format delta and then load. Okay, so there are two ways to do that. Let's say if I am reading it using the for path, delta table.for path, and if I can use the inbuilt method like update append. Okay, so I'm updating the field, and once I did this, then I am reading the same delta table again. Okay, so this is the way you can update your table. Okay, and here you can see the data updated to 4400. Okay, because the salary is updated to plus 400. So there is a version that you can see. There is a version of option, so second version, third version. Okay, let's say if I want to see the initial version of the data, so if I do 0, okay, so let it run. I don't think we have. Okay, we have the data. We have the data in the output folder. So let's see. Yeah, let's wait for a few minutes. Okay, till it run. And here what I'm doing is I'm comparing the delta format with the Parquet format, keeping the Parquet output data in the compare folder and the delta in the output table. So as you can see the difference, and all these things I am going to share it with you. You can take a look and run it accordingly. So now once my table is being created, I can optimize it using the Spark. Okay, so optimize the delta table. So I have not applied any delta here, so I can use the delta using the z order by salary. So once I'll run this, it will become a delta table. Okay, so now I want to show you, but I don't know why it's not running. Let's see, copy table path. Okay, let's move on. Let's see if it ran. Yeah, this one. So you can see that this is the 0th version. Okay, without any updation. So 0th version was, and this is the first version where we have updated the salary. Okay, salary plus 400. Bob's salary is 4400, but what was the previous data? It's 4000 only. and that's the use of the version. Okay, maintaining the history, I think. Okay, now if I run this, okay, so it will going to convert the normal table into my delta table. And so in the delta table, if you filter it, you will going to see the data, okay, quickly, because it won't scan all the table, only your salary table. So what happened here is that what delta do is, in the previous video also I explained that it will going to combine the, it create a structure in such a way that it will accumulate all the common data all together. Okay, so let's say A, with the letter A, all the data will come under that category. It will fall into for all the data which is similar to A fall under that category. For B, it will fall into other category. Okay, so similarly it will going to create a Z order. Okay, for multi-dimensional, multi-column, you will say. Okay, so now next thing is we will talk about the write-serializable. So write-serializable, as I told you, comes in consistency in multi-threading environment. So it's the safest isolation level in Deltalake. Okay, and the common issues that it prevent is, first is the dirty read. Dirty read means that if there is uncommitted changes made by the some transaction. So two transactions are happening, one has the uncommitted data and the other one has not. Okay, so it don't know which data to pick, because let's say if I am updating the salary table and I am not committed the changes, so initially in the database it's 100, but I am updating it to 50. Okay, so in that case 150, so in that case my changes are not committed, so my compiler or my other transaction don't know which one to pick. Okay, so that's the first problem. Non-repeatable read is data changes between the read at the same time. Okay, so let's say if, two threads are running and one thread is checking the salary is 100, since at the same time somebody updated is to 150, but the other transaction still has the previous data of 100 only. Okay, so that's another issue. And phantom reads are, let's say there is a I'm calculating the count of the data. So when one transaction checked the count, it was 10, but the other transaction is getting the value as 11, because at the same time while reading by the one transaction, it updated the count. Okay, so how this write-serializable work is, it will check for the conflicts before committing any write operations. Okay, so that's how it handle the conflicts. And I'll show you this example. Okay, so let's say there is a transaction A of salary 3500. Okay, so in the output table we know that ID1 has the salary of a salary of 3000. Okay, 3000, let me copy this all data. Okay, so where it went. Okay, so I'm updating the salary of 1 to 3500 instead of 3000, and the salary of 2 is 3500 to 4500. Okay, so I'm running these two threads, and of salary 1 and 2. Okay, yeah, so what it will going to throw is write-serializable exception. Here it will going to throw somewhere. Yeah, files were added to the root of the table by concurrent update, please try the operation again. Conflicting commits. Okay, so conflict commit for the ID2, okay, and for the ID1 as well. So if something is updated, it will going to keep the if somebody is updating the data, it will synchronize the whole table. Okay, and if somebody else is also doing it, it will throw that exception. Okay, so let me check the data again. Let me run this first. Okay, let me run this first and let's see the output of the data. So this one will go into tell me the data. What's saying is right spark session is not defined. Okay, so before writing it, let me add it here. Okay, so let me copy the imports first. Imports in the sense here you can see, right, imports, or maybe the spark session whole. Okay, so let me copy this first. Okay, so we have the spark. Okay, we already have the spark. Yeah, so let me run this, and meanwhile we can see the okay, it's not still not coming. Okay, let it run. Yeah, so I'm updating the ID1 and ID2 with a different salary, and when it ran, so I don't want to have that version. Okay, okay, so I think it will going to take some time. I'll show you in the next video. Okay, thank you.